We are live. Jamie.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regularly scheduled mayor and council meeting for the town of Berlin. It's Monday, June 27th, 2022. Please join me in a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The first item on this evening's agenda is the approval of the minutes from the executive session of May 23rd, 2022.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Councilmember Nur.
Second.
I have a second by Councilmember Orris. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Let the record reflect that the executive session minutes for 5/23/2022 passed unanimously with Councilmember Purnell absent. Up next is agenda item 1B, the statement of closure from the executive session of May 23rd, 2022. The date and time of the closed session was Monday, May 23rd, 2022 at 6 p.m. The location was, the vote was held here in the council chambers, and then we went over to the conference room for the meeting. Purpose of the closed session was to discuss the town administrator's position and the administrative manager position. The date and time that we were to return back to a public meeting, is that accurate? Yes, that is accurate, my fault. May 23rd, 2022 at 7 p.m. The motion to go into closed session was made by Councilmember Orris, seconded by Councilmember Nur. Members voting in favor were Councilmember Nichols and Purnell. Absent were Councilmember Burrell. Statutory authority to close under the general provisions, Article 3-305B, to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom this body has jurisdiction, and any other personnel matter that affects one or more specific individuals. The listing of each topic actually discussed and the persons present. The topic was the town administrator position and the administrative manager position. Those that were present were myself, Councilmember Nur, Nichols, Orris, and Purnell, the town administrator, I believe Kelsey Jensen, she may have been the administrative manager at that time, David Gaskell, and then the action taken was unanimous promotion of Ms. Jensen to the HR director position. All right, I think that concludes the statement of closure. Up next is the approval of the minutes for the regular session of May 23rd, 2022.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Councilmember Orris,
Second.
second by Councilmember Nichols. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed? Let the record reflect that the regular session minutes of May 23rd, 2022 passed unanimously. Up next is going to be the swearing in of Board of Elections member, Ms. Betty Tustin. And a small reminder for everybody watching, I think we have the applications full, but there are board and commission vacancies available on the website. Ms. Tustin.
Go Betty.
Yes, thank you. So for everybody watching, we cannot have an election without Board of Elections supervisors. So come on over here to this side if you don't mind. We have those folks watching at home also. So Miss Betty Tustin is going to be our new Board of Supervisors of Elections member. Repeat after me if you don't mind. I, Betty Tustin.
I, Betty Tustin.
Raise your right hand too. I forget that part sometimes. Do swear and affirm
Do swear and affirm
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and that I will be faithful
and that I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to the state of Maryland
to the state of Maryland
and support the Constitution
and support the Constitution
and laws thereof,
and laws thereof,
and that I will,
and that I will,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
diligently and faithfully,
diligently and faithfully,
without partiality or prejudice,
without partiality or prejudice,
execute the office of
execute the office of
Town of Berlin Supervisors of Elections
Town of Berlin Supervisors of Election
according to the Constitution and laws of the state.
according to the Constitution and laws of the state.
There we are. Congratulations. Now, we do have to sign for that. And then it's official.
Ms. Betty, we're technically giving you a standing O, even though you don't see it, because we say thank you for the position tenfold. Thank you.
Definitely.
Very much so.
Thank you very much. All right, up next is agenda item number 3, which is a request for approval for an event for the Berlin Heritage Foundation and Taylor House Museum. It's a one-day special permit. And I believe we have representatives from the Taylor House Museum here with us this evening. You can come forward if you'd like. You can stay in the back, talk a little bit about the event, whichever you would like to do. Just if you're going to speak, just come on up here. You do not have to. I noticed the look.
Would you speak loudly?
It's okay. So if we have questions, we'll ask you to come up, but I think you should be fine. So before you this evening, you do have Berlin Heritage Foundation and Taylor House Museum request for a special one-day permit. It does involve alcohol, which is why it's before us this evening. With that being said, if we have any questions, there is a representative in the audience this evening. If not, we will take a motion to approve.
Well, I don't have any questions, but I'll help out Heather. Just full disclosure, I am also a member of the Berlin Heritage Foundation board, and just some background for the mayor and council. We had a one-day event. It was the first museum event that had alcohol. I think that was a few weeks ago, early June, and it was extremely successful. So the board is coming to us for approval for an additional event, which is the Sunday evening at the museum on August 14th, which is a Sunday. I believe it's an hour-and-a-half event, somewhere around there. And that's the background on the event.
Move to approve. So I have a motion to approve by Councilmember Burrell.
Second.
A second by Councilmember Nur. All in favor? All opposed? And let the record reflect that the request for approval for the Berlin Heritage Foundation's event on Sunday, August 14th, 2022 passes unanimously. Thank you. Up next is agenda item number 4A, which is motion 2022-07, which is RFP 2022-02, the William Street Pump Station Upgrade Project. And I think, Jamie, you're running point on this.
Yes, sir. We came to the mayor and council, I believe we asked a couple to go for an RFP, so we got that, and we would like to proceed with upgrading the lift station to meet the new confined space standards and all that also. So, DVF did submit a letter of recommendation, it should be in the packet, and I would like to move forward with their recommendation.
Now, the only question I have, I think it does exceed the amount that we originally anticipated by...
We anticipated, I think we were going to cap it at 350, and I asked if we could move it to 400, and it's 400, just say 412,000. Now they did the numbers today. As it stands right now, we've taken in roughly $764,000 in septic hauler fees. We've budgeted $100,000, so we are there's roughly $300,000 additional for, revenue. And that's not even including this month, and I've already got sheets for almost $50,000. So the funds are there, I do believe, and Natalie can correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, the $12,000 we would just take out of the additional out of there.
So there's adequate funding for it, and the recommendation is to move forward with TK Construction Incorporated. The dollar value of that is going to be $411,937.
Motion to approve TK Construction Inc. for the William Street Pumping Station.
I have a motion by Councilmember Nur and a second by Councilmember Burrell. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Let the record reflect that motion 2022-06 passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next is agenda item number 4B, which is the Chop Tank Electric Co-op Mutual Aid Agreement, and our Electric Utility Director, Tim Lawrence, is running point.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This mutual aid agreement, we've actually had an agreement in place with Chop Tank for many, many years, and basically they just wanted to fine tune it. It's basically a mutual aid agreement. If we were to have let's say a major storm hit the town, for example, and do a lot of damage to our facilities, we could actually reach out to Chop Tank to assist us with repairing the lines, replace the poles, that type of thing. We actually already have an agreement in place with American Municipal Power Association, which they represent about 140 municipalities. So basically, if something was to happen, we'd have the backup of Chop Tank and then also AMP, American Municipal Power. And this is just like a standard mutual aid agreement. It's just basically a document that says we'll help each other out in need, that type of thing. And I believe Mr. Gaskell looked at it.
Yes.
And approved it.
I did.
Yeah.
And just to add a little bit of context, you mentioned the American Municipal Power group that we're a part of as well. So sometimes the council maybe remembers us going to help other municipalities that's using that agreement. So
Correct.
as Tim said, we have that in place, and this would just be in addition to.
Yes, and then there's also another agreement in place with, basically through the state of Maryland with the 5 municipalities that have electric utilities, Easton, Thurmont, Williamsport, Hagerstown, and us, that we help each other out. So we have plenty of backup if needed.
So the request tonight is just to approve us being able to enter into this type of mutual aid agreement. It would require us to be able to enact that in the event of a storm or something like that, but this is to approve the agreement this evening.
Make a motion.
No questions from the council or from the public. I'd like to move to approve this request.
So I have a motion by Councilmember Burrell,
Second.
a second by Councilmember Orris. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Let the record reflect that the council approves the Chop Tank Electric Co-op Mutual Aid Agreement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next is agenda item number 4C, which is motion 2022-06, annual contracts for fiscal year 2023, and our acting town administrator, Mary Boland's going to run point.
Thank you. These are the annual contracts that we enter into virtually every year. They have not all been included in the past on this particular motion. I'm not sure why. But this has been updated with everything that I am aware of at this point. The one exception that I will notify you of is that I've just learned today that Cards Technology has actually been sold. The new company will be ICS, but they will honor the quotes and estimates that we received from Cards to come to these numbers.
What does that mean for us as far as?
It should not mean anything, obviously, time will tell. But at this point, it's too late to try to figure things out differently. And I have no reason to think that it'll be a problem.
And we evaluate the vendor position each year before the recommendation is made. So we'll get a year's worth of time with ICS hopefully, and then we'll be able to make a favorable recommendation next year.
Mary, do you ever seek other proposals from other vendors?
We have not done it for the IT services in a while. It's quite a daunting task. From the initial RFP that we did for IT services, the RFP would be different than it was that initial time. So I have reached out to the state of Maryland's IT department, which supposedly is there to help with these things, and not gotten any response. It is something that we do need to do.
And the part that Mary just said, reaching out to the state, we intend to go back to them again to try and get some assistance crafting an RFP, because it's not something we can do internally.
No, it's much too fine, detailed, technological.
Something we'll share next year.
And the other aspect is that we could reach out to somebody locally to help craft it, but that prevents them from being able to bid. So we really want to seek the state's input, or somebody that would not be bidding on the project's input, crafting an RFP.
If I may,
Yes.
so I just did a quick search on ICS, and they look like, it looks like they have locations at a variety of places within the tri-state area. It says they're award-winning. And then just to get back to, if you checking with the state IT. So the grant portal for DHCD, they still use Internet Explorer because they haven't figured out a way to convert it over to.
Wait a minute, I thought Explorer died last week.
So just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This is a specific service that the state is supposed to offer, specifically to help you develop RFPs for this kind of thing.
We'll keep, we're going to focus our attention on them for
Yeah.
preparing for FY '24. We wouldn't be able to put one together
Oh, no.
in time to meet our needs, but
So we'll
most
just,
definitely.
so just as, I mean, it's kind of associated to this, the ARPA for council chambers, audio and visual,
Unrelated.
is that, we're not going to include that into our IT existing? Or was that the
It
plan?
could be, but the intent at the time the ARPA allocations were established, it was
Okay.
unrelated to the IT.
And then, well, okay. And I would reach out back out to the state IT in probably about a month.
I've done that.
Yes, it's,
Yeah, we're,
they're legit.
we've discussed this
Yeah.
several years running now, but we will hopefully get some irons to the fire. The other thing is that in macro perspective, looking at this list of vendors, you will notice that we do, for some of these, they're very specific services, right?
Specialized.
Right, but others, you will notice that they do change from time to time. They are based on the vendor performance and the staff recommendations. We are seeking the approval of motion 2022-07.
Motion to approve.
So I have a motion by Councilmember Horace,
Second.
second by Councilmember Nichols. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Let the record reflect that motion 2022-07, the FY23 contracts were approved unanimously. Up next is agenda, thank you. Up next is agenda item number 5A, which is short-term rental regulation implementation discussion, and our planning director, Dave Engelhardt, is going to run point on that.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
From our internal discussions, we came up, I've been contacted by several homeowners, property owners who have already been operating short-term rentals. Going back, I even have communication here from one property owner from 2017. So it's been an ongoing thing, and I still think we have about 15 operating properties as short-term rentals, as far as I could tell. But I've been contacted more recently since we've enacted the ordinance in March from some of the owners. They want to know how they're going to dispose of their property. In other words, they are in an R1 and R2 where our ordinance stipulates they have at least 180-day residence requirement in the R1 and R2, that would be their home of record with the State Department of Assessment and Taxation. This creates a problem for people who live elsewhere but own a property that they are currently operating as short-term rentals. So should they go back to the more traditional year-long basis rental for an income-producing property, or should they sell the home for someone to use as their primary home or someone to use as a long-term rental? This is why they're asking for a delay in the implementation of the ordinance from July 1, where it takes effect, until possibly January 1st, or at some date between then, that would allow them to continue with the reservations they already have booked in 2022 to take advantage of the tourist season and our town event season, and our, when the weather's good, we have people visiting us all the time. We are as much of a tourist attraction as Ocean City is, and so we ride the same season they do. So this is the issue we have before us. I have one particular communication I'd like to read to you from a property owner that I've talked to several times. And her name is Jacqueline Clemmer, and she has a property on Maple Drive that she operates as a short-term rental from time to time. And she writes, I received this email after speaking to her the last time on Friday, June 17th, she sent this to me. She says, "Hi Dave, thank you for taking my calls about the ordinance passed back in March regarding short-term rentals. My husband and I have owned the house at 119 Maple Drive since 2003, and it had formerly belonged to his mother from 1978 until she passed in 2003 and we acquired it. We live and work in Silver Spring, Maryland, but we're planning to keep the home with the intention of using it as a summer home or retirement home someday. In the meantime, we rent it out to local residents on a year-long, full-time lease basis until 2016, when we decided to do some major renovations. Once that was done, we did not want the wear and tear on it that long-term rentals bring because we were closer to retirement. We furnished it and decided to hire a management company at the beginning of 2017 to rent it out to people who wanted to vacation in a quaint, quiet town close to the beach, golf, etc., while also in walking distance to the town's businesses and restaurants. This has been a very good arrangement for us and is giving us enough income to be able to keep the house up for a few more years until we retire and use it for ourselves. Our neighbors across the street and next door keep in touch with me about anything that might look amiss, and there has been nothing but good reports of guests being quiet and well behaved in all the years this has been going on. In addition, the house is being professionally managed by a group called, I believe it's Vacasa.com, who book, manage, provide linens and supplies, and use local contractors for repairs and maintenance. The town of Berlin also benefits with this arrangement by having vacationers spending money in the town's local stores, shops, and restaurants. Also, I'd like to think having the house occupied and not vacant all the time would cut back on possible vandalism or crime that a vacant house might attract. As the owner of the property who has been paying taxes and contributing to the town's economic growth by patronizing local contractors, restaurants, and businesses for decades, I'm asking that you reconsider or amend this ordinance to grandfather out those of us who are in this situation by allowing us to continue to operate our rentals at least for the remainder of 2022, if not longer. Having this happen in the middle of the vacation season made for unexpected changes to the 2022 budget we already had planned for income spending and taxes. We have already missed the opportunity for any rentals after July 1, as Vacasa immediately closed the online booking calendar as soon as they got notice of the ordinance, and will have to relocate existing bookings after July 1, of which there were 2 in July and 1 in August that already booked back before March. I truly appreciate your consideration of my situation and hope to hear back from you once you have met and discussed it at the next town council meeting. Please reply or call me at any time if you have any questions or wish to discuss this further. So I think that's a good piece that the similar sentiments have been given to me by other property.
Thank you, Dave. So this is a discussion item this evening, and this does come with the staff recommendation down the bottom to move the effective date of the ordinance to January 1st, 2023. So we'll take any comments or anything from the council if you have any for recommendation.
So Dave, I just have a question. Your report, thank you for the staff report. I lost my spot in here, but it said somewhere to the end of October, through the end of October. So, and I know that we talked via email, but are you able to say how many bookings are in October?
It says right there, 80 to 100. But I'm not sure of that number because some of the people I've been in contact with, they've been reluctant to tell me how many they have.
Sure.
And
okay.
Some don't know because, like this woman, unless they check in all the time, that's why they have the management company. In other words, she doesn't know each day that you booked it or I booked it. And when she already had 5, she doesn't know she has 7 until she checks in with them. So And some were reluctant to tell me because I think they think that was going to send me out, you know, on an enforcement run. And that's not the case. But so I think it's probably a lot higher number than that. But no, you know, if you have 15 of them, and it's high season for vacation rentals, not just in Berlin, but all around the area. So.
And when did we approve this? March?
Yeah, in March. How long have we been talking about it? Long before March.
Yeah, about 3 years.
So I mean, to get.
Pre-COVID.
The one thing that resonated with me that Dave said was, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think you said something about the way that it looks for the town canceling, or not us per se canceling, but right here at the height of the season when people may have already taken off of work or planned their vacations. And that was a perspective that Dave shared with me, and I thought it was pretty spot on.
I don't mean to monopolize the time. I mean, I appreciate where you're coming from, where these folks are coming from, because it was in March, and you know, I understand where you're coming from. For me, I think January is a little far out to extend this, if that's what is decided. Having that number for October would, I get it, would be helpful for me personally, but I don't know if Labor Day.
Look, if we say October, then the next letter's gonna come, oh my gosh, people love Berlin at Christmas. Then it's gonna be December. And then in December, when we say December, oh my gosh, we love it in Berlin in January. We love July, we love August. They love Berlin all the time. But what day do we, I mean, that's, and I'm not being disrespectful to the lady who wrote the letter, because when I did the math in my head and the time frame we're talking about, she had a fabulous rhyme with her short-term rentals, a fabulous rhyme. I mean, I'm not trying to be ignorant. That is not at all where I'm coming from. But from the time that she went from year-round rentals to the time that this ordinance came into play, a minimum of 5 years. Fabulous time frame, and she's talking about us getting that much closer to retirement. When they started doing rentals, they were getting that much closer to retirement. Then they decided to do short-term rentals, and it's getting that much closer to retirement. I'm not being rude here, but when are we retiring? And it's not just her, but if that's her argument, then the next person's argument is, well, tomorrow I'm thinking about retiring, so I want to rent my house and get my mortgage paid before I retire. That's not fair. So I mean, I feel like, maybe because the hour of the day, but, and this one for me is like, every day there's a different scenario. Somebody's gonna change this, or, hey, guess what? My son is 18 now, so my second house is gonna become their primary residence. Guys, stop playing games. The ordinance is here, it's in place. That's my take on it.
I think to help answer Councilmember Orris's question, I think a lot of thought went into the January 1st, and correct me if I'm wrong, the January 1st timeframe, because that is typically when the season of Berlin would wind down.
Yeah, that's correct. Right.
So I think that the basis for the January 1st date was the wind down of the season. But
you got the holidays out of the way, because they do well. Thanksgiving time, Halloween's huge here. You're aware, I'm sure, because you're taking Charlie all around.
It's huge for locals, so can you imagine what it's like with short-term rentals in the mix? I'm sorry, I'll be quiet.
I just wanted to provide clarity for the January 1st.
I think that what I meant was, Ms. Nichols, was
I'm
it's
not
still
trying
a
to-
popular time
It definitely
for Berlin,
is.
for Halloween. I'm not saying that short-term rentals should take precedence over the locals. I would never say that.
No, and I know you're not, and
Yeah.
and maybe I've got I don't know. This one for me is tough, and I say that because today it's, oh, wait a minute, what about this amount of time? And I only have one house. Tomorrow it's gonna be the guy who has 3 houses. Well, wait a minute, what about me? How about I have people who are interested in renting for a wedding next October or next May. And I can't, you know what I'm saying? And I get what you're,
I think the other thing is that this is a passionate issue, right? Like, we hear that. But I think that the important thing is that Dave's recommendation is based off of the input that he's receiving. He's doing his diligence by making that recommendation to us. It's up to this body whether or not you choose to accept it and/or stick with the previously decided time of July 1. It's purely this body's decision.
Dave, if this ordinance does not get extended, are you prepared to start it July 1st?
Well, in your packets, the application.
Right, is that all that you need, or is everything else ready?
That would start everything. I'd start distributing the applications and a list of people that have asked for one.
We are prepared to move forward. As Councilmember Orris mentioned, the ordinance was passed in March. We're prepared to move forward with the effective date of July 1, if that's what this body decides. But we wanted to bring this volume of, 80 to 100 under, and probably an underreported number.
That's
Underreported number.
I would think so, yeah.
We felt that it was the due diligence to bring that before you guys. So, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, I appreciate it, I truly do.
All right, so last call if there's a motion to change. If not, the effective date stands as July 1, 2022.
I'll make a motion that we extend it to 9/6, which is after Labor Day.
So I have a motion by Councilmember Orris to extend the effective date to 9/6/2022. I need a second for that. Last call for a second for the extension to 9/6/2022. Hearing none, the motion dies. All right, so any other discussion or motions as it relates to agenda item number 5A? All right, let's move on to agenda items. Thank you, Dave,
Thank
Thank
you.
for preparing that. Agenda item 5B is the employee handbook, general amendments and corrections, and that'll be our Human Resources Director, Kelsey Jensen, running point.
Good evening.
Thank you.
I'm not sure if you guys want me to pull up the handbook, or if you just want me to run down my list telling you kind of what's changed. It's up to you.
I think we're okay with the summary.
Okay. So as I mentioned, this is just kind of general housekeeping. These are things that have previously been approved, or, we changed pronouns from he, she to, they, them, and then we did, we added grandparents to immediate family, or great-grandparents, I'm sorry, to immediate family, because, let's be honest, not many employees have them, and if they do, they should be able to follow through with that bereavement if there was a passing of that family member. We updated the harassment policy. That's probably the largest change that we made as far as housekeeping, and the harassment policy changes were recommended by Legit. They actually took our policy, made several changes, and then sent it back to us. They are our insurance provider. They are who we look to for that type of resource, so we did go ahead and implement their policies into this. We expanded on the electronic equipment section. Now that most employees have laptops that can be taken home, we wanted to make sure that was addressed. We updated the town administrator's credit card limit based on the purchasing policy. In the handbook, it had it at 5,000, but the purchasing policy allows up to 10,000, so we adjusted that. We removed the section regarding Sam's Club membership for employees because this benefit is no longer offered to employees. We did some clarification on the tuition reimbursement for schooling that employees are offered. It was reading a little unclear. I think the intent was that it was a year for year, but how you read it just wasn't quite that clear. So we tried our best to clear that up a little bit. And then in the handbook, it said that you must have 160 hours to participate in buyback, but you can sell back 60, but you must have 80 remaining. That math doesn't make sense. So if you're selling back 60, you must have 100 remaining. We updated the requesting documentation for sick leave. It's up to each department to make sure that their employees are providing work notes if needed. And then we did remove the sick leave pool section because that benefit's not something that we really have used in several years. We updated the town holidays per the council's vote in FY22 to now include a full day on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, and then we added Juneteenth. We We clarified the sympathy guidelines. It said that they must be hospitalized for a day. It was a little confusing on when you say a day, so we just made it 24-hour period or longer. And then a few years ago, the prior mayor and prior town administrator, they had said that for any sort of sympathy donation or purchase of flowers or something, if there was any processing fees, that would be in addition to the $100 flower purchase, or we've made donations in the past, and sometimes doing it online, you have like a processing fee. So they've, we said that the amount for any sympathy-related contribution was $100, but that did not include any delivery or processing fees. Department heads are responsible for letting town staff know whether or not their employees are going to be out for a period of time that would require a sympathy donation or gift, and then because that right now that's not really clear. So if someone's out, I don't always know, so I don't know to send flowers or send them a card or something. So it's up to the department head to inform myself or the town administrator, or deputy town administrator. And then there was a section in there about needing to return the employee manual upon termination, or you have to pay for it. I've never seen one employee return it, so I took that section out. It just seemed a little odd. And then I just indicated where up-to-date copies of the handbooks, where they'd be available, and that employees would sign for any updates. So that's kind of what we changed this time around. I have mentioned in here as well that we're going to go section by section now that, if these are approved this evening, we're going to go section by section and just kind of, I mean, it's an outdated handbook. It hasn't been truly updated, I think, since, I think the last time was 2016, 2015. So there was several things in there that I made small housekeeping things I didn't include in the summary, like stuff about pagers and stuff like that we removed, just stuff that's not realistic anymore. So there's a lot of sections that need updating. So I think we'll go section by section. We'll make recommendations to you guys probably the second meeting of each month. Some meetings we may have a couple updates, some meetings we may have none. I guess it will just depend on, other priorities that take precedent that month, but we'll try to be consistent with the second meeting of the month, coming forward to you guys with any section updates, and we will go in order. So if you guys are reviewing it, and you see something, you at least know what we're headed towards next. So if you have any recommendations, we are open to those. So I will probably do some sort of memo each time, letting you know what we're recommending, and then we'll provide the section that we're changing. And if you guys have anything at that point, we'd be open to any recommendations. So.
The only thing I want to add to what Kelsey said is, as you look through it, the formatting is a mess.
It is. There was no point.
Rather than constantly reformatting it, we'll wait as each section is approved.
Yes.
It'll be formatted appropriately and we'll go forward. So it'll be kind of difficult to say page 52 or whatever. But yeah, the formatting is a nightmare right now, but hopefully we'll get that.
Plus, if you're doing it section by section, we'll just look at that one
at
that time.
And then it'll be set up so that if we replace something, you can just pull a page and insert a corrected page.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for both of you and everybody that's been involved so far working. I understand that, have worked through this and making these first round of recommendations goes a long way.
And for those that don't know, we did have one member of each department. Each department had one representative on our committee, so we had input from each department on kind of everything we went through. And there were some things that we didn't really bring up tonight that we're hoping as we get more into that section, we can maybe look into a little further. But
thank you. So we are looking for a recommendation or a motion to approve this evening.
I just have a comment. Top of this second page, clarified sympathy guidelines to be clear on 24 hours versus an outpatient or minor procedure. Some outpatient procedures are major.
yeah, and that's why I'm not sure how you guys want to handle that. It currently said for a period of a day. we didn't know what you consider a period of a day. If someone has something major, we definitely have sent any flowers or whatever, even if it's not 24 hours right now. So we're kind of looking for, if you have a recommendation on wording on that, feel free. I'm not sure the best way to word that, or
I mean, as somebody that is going through an outpatient
Yeah,
what do you think is appropriate?
yeah.
You can leave it to the discretion of
Yeah.
the Human Resources Director or Department Director.
Yes.
I think that's probably
That'll
the
work.
easiest way to word it.
Okay, we
Take the
can,
time
yeah, we'll
restriction
take the
out.
time restriction
Yeah.
out.
Into that?
And we'll say at the discretion of the, but when we'll leave the part in there that the department head is still responsible for bringing it to us to decide if it's something that,
Okay.
yeah, I can do that.
And I think that should lie with maybe your office as the HR director and then the town administrator's office as well to handle those approvals.
Yep, okay, I will make that change.
So with that change, I'll make a motion to approve.
So I have a motion to approve with the revised clarification for sympathy guidelines.
Second.
I have a second by Councilmember Nichols. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Let the record reflect that the employee handbook with the recommended changes have been approved unanimously. Thank you again.
I'm sorry, may I ask who made that motion? I was sorry.
Councilmember Horace.
Or
Thank you.
second by me.
And then I just had a follow-up real quick about the tobacco use part of this, part of the handbook. I noticed that there is a cigarette butt container on Town Hall.
Mhm.
So if we are striving to be a healthy campus, can we take that off?
We still have many visitors,
Do they
people who
smoke
are
there?
walking by who are using,
Okay.
I mean, the town employees are not using it, so the only people left are
Okay.
not town
I'm just
employees.
throwing it
Yeah.
out.
No, it's, you gotta give them somewhere to put it, or they'll.
Yeah, otherwise it'll be on the sidewalk.
Or in the flower bed,
Yeah.
yes.
All right, well, thank you.
Jimmy's flower bed.
Enjoy the flower beds.
Oh, my gosh.
All right, so up next is the acting town administrator's report, item number 6.
Hi, I don't have a whole lot this evening. I attended Corporal Hilliard's funeral last Tuesday. Several of our town departments offered or used equipment and personnel to help guide traffic, which was significant to the grave site, and they were more than happy and honored to assist with that effort. George & Lynch is the company that will be doing the paving projects coming up. They are staging some equipment and materials in Stephen Decatur Park. They expect to start on the pathway sometime this week. And the only other thing that I have is that there is election information available on the website right now under elections, under government, and that I will be on vacation this Friday.
Thank you. Any questions for our acting town administrator?
Yeah, Mary, they're doing the park first. Are these the same folks that are gonna be doing, who's doing the street paving?
Same.
So the park first and then the.
Graham, I can't think of all the streets off the top of my
Grand
head.
Hughes and the Decatur.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
And those properties, I'm sure you'll say in your report, are all being notified as well.
Yes, it's the intent to provide flyers to the affected businesses and residences. That was Jamie's suggestion.
Thank you.
Well, I spoke to Mary and I sent an email to the chief, but Stevenson has the Spirit Kitchen on Wednesdays. So I had to be out there looking at, we got to cap an old water line before they pave. So I made a suggestion to Mary, and that way we could try to work around them, because some people depend on getting their food
Yeah.
every week. So I was just trying to be smart about it.
And George & Lynch will provide us with a schedule, and if we see any conflicts, we'll touch base with them. They expect it to go very quickly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any additional questions for our town administrator? All right. Up next are departmental reports, and we'll start with Economic and Community Development Director Ivy Wells.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Let's see, per my weekly report, completed the yearly Main Street Improvement Grant, turned that in. Currently writing the Community Legacy Grant for additional facade grant funding. Submitted quarterly reports for our DHCD and Worcester County Arts Council grants, working with Mandala Pies on their facade grant, working on all the town's upcoming events. With that, speaking of that, we've received several calls about whether or not there could be a rain date for the July 3rd fireworks, and there is no rain date for the fireworks set yet. The rain date that we have agreed with the contractor is that he will provide a rain date from now until December 31st. So we have from July 3rd until December 31st to be able to choose a rain date depending on what's going on in town. But many people have asked, well, will it be done on July 4th? And the answer to that is no. We're in the middle of business license renewals. We have over 250 businesses, so we're in the process of renewing all the business licenses. A new dining rack card is coming out soon. Also, Berlin has received National Main Street accreditation again this year. And then I attached to the weekly report proposal to not change the name of Commerce, but to add the name Tiddly Way with a wayfinding sign directing people downtown or down Commerce to be able to enjoy the mural, and also for a pocket park where we took the trees out. But that's at the next council meeting. And that's it.
Thank you. I think the only thing is that the Commerce Street Pocket Park, I think we talked about moving that to the second meeting in July, right? Because
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So that'll
That's correct.
arrive at the second meeting.
Sometimes, but when we turn our weekly report in, things change.
No, it's
Things
fine.
change like the next hour.
I just wanted to update the group here.
Sure.
Any questions for our Economic and Community Development Director, Ivy Wells?
Yeah, I mean, for the fireworks, which I'm hoping, they're fine, but
Yeah.
if it's to the 31st, so there's a possibility that there could be New Year's Eve fireworks at that point. Does that include the
Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah. If mayor and council, mayor and council would decide
Right.
when you would like the new date for the fireworks to be, so
But-
you would,
Yeah, but it's still July 3rd, that is a rain.
July 3rd,
July
and
3rd.
from the contractor, they will shoot fireworks if it's raining. If there's thunderstorms and dangerous weather, they will not shoot fireworks. But if it's slightly raining, they will most likely shoot fireworks.
Okay, July 3rd. That's all I have.
Any other questions? Okay, up next is our Planning Director, Dave Engelhardt.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. Also, per my weekly report, we issued 2 certificates of occupancy. We issued 4 notices of violation for excessive grass overgrowth. 'Tis the season. We issued 11 building permits, including another new single-family home, 2 fence permits, 2 sign permits, 1 in-ground pool, 1 deck, 1 utility shed, 1 roof repair, and 2 for residential alterations and repairs. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions for our Planning Director, Dave Engelhardt?
Yeah, I have just one question. Dave, can you give us any sort of update on the Burbridge building next door, when that front facade might be renovated?
Well, I talked to the property manager for Blue Water, who owns the building, the Burbridge organization, last week, early in the week, and she had asked me about what specifications the plans had to have on them. She knew an architect stamped set of plans. She asked me about an engineered set of plans, and I said, yes, I need engineered stamped plans to go with the architect stamped plans. So those are in the process of being drawn up. Previously, and I believe the contract is still in place, there was someone interested in purchasing the building, but he would be basing his rework of the building off of plans that they provide. That's the ideas, and that was actually, it was the week before. I think it was the Wednesday before last that I talked with her, and so I'm waiting for plans to come in. They were approved for the look, the facade by the Historic Commission several months ago, but now they actually had to produce the plans to get a building permit. So that's the stage we're at now.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any additional questions for our Planning Director? All right, up next is our Electric Utility Director, Tim Lawrence.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My weekly report, behind the power plant, the old railroad track that used to run from William Street up to Main Street, we have a electric utility easement for the overhead line that runs through there. We had to clear the right-of-way on the backside of the substation power plant. The growth back there, it's got a lot of bamboo back there and it grows really high. So with the assistance of Public Works, they helped us clear it. So we did that. And then, what was it? Out at Berlin Little League baseball fields, they're doing a upgrade lighting project, which is, it's a major job out there going on. They're going to LED lighting. They're adding lighting on the backfields, on the backside, and we had to assist them. We served the power to it, so they had to do some electrical upgrades, and we assisted them with that. We assisted with traffic control for Officer Hillard's funeral. And then also Stephen Decatur Park, we assisted Public Works. We had that storm that came through on the 17th, I believe it was. We had a lot of broken limbs in the park, and we assisted them with the removal. Aztec Road, we had to remove a temporary construction service for some townhomes that were being renovated. Various locations with tree trimming. We peak shaved one time this summer, which was on Wednesday, 6:15, and we peak shaved from 2 p.m. to 6:15 p.m. And then the power plant, we've had some maintenance that we've done over there. Also, I would like to mention, we found a major issue with one of our large substation transformers at Savage Substation. These are the transformers that serve the entire town. There's 4 of them in there. One of them's got a issue with some of the gauges. The oil is basically seeping from inside the transformer through the gauges, and it's creating some damage issues to the external parts of the transformer. Anyway, to repair this, we're basically going to have to take the power down to the entire town. And we've done this before since I've been here over the past 12 years, maybe twice. We've had to take down the power to the entire town. The contractor that is hired to do this, they're estimating it'll take 2 to 4 hours. Worst case scenario is 6 hours. Normally this type of outage, we normally do it on a Saturday morning from like 12:01 a.m. till 6 o'clock a.m. That's the best time. If we tried to do it on a Sunday morning, we have church going on, that type of thing. And then if we tried to do it during the week, people have to get up and go to work, so we don't want to mess up their time clocks and that type of thing. So basically, these type of outages, normally we try to do it on a Saturday morning after midnight, basically. So it'd be Friday night, Saturday morning. And it would be, worst case scenario, 6 hours.
Tim, do you have an estimate of when this might occur?
Well, right now the material has been ordered. They estimated it would take 3 to 4 weeks for it to come in. Once the material comes in, at that point, I'll come back to you, to the group here, to the mayor and council, figure out when the best time to do this outage, and then we'll take care of notifying the police department, county emergency services, the fire department, that type of thing. And we've done this before, so it can be done.
So, Tim, you say you've done it before, so I get it, and I'm sure this is part of your protocol, but also AGH?
It doesn't affect it. AGH is served by Delmarva Power.
Yeah. Okay, and the nursing homes, is that us?
The nursing home, that is us.
Okay,
Yes.
so you'll obviously coordinate with them?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
The other thing is that the work will be handled by a contractor, and then in order to maximize the outage time, Tim's crews have some plans for some additional work that they'll complete.
Yeah, we have to be involved in this because we have to basically, we got to notify Delmarva Power. That's the first thing. We're taking down the entire town, basically. They'll see the load drop off their system. We have to go in and do a lot of sectionalizing, grounding of the substation, and then during that time frame, while they're doing the work on the transformer, we're also going to perform some maintenance on the substation that would require the station to be down. So we figure since this is going on and the station is out, we'll be doing our stuff at the same time.
Okay.
And once we find out when the material is here, I'll come back to the mayor and council, and we'll figure it out, and we can get plenty of notice. I mean, if it takes 3 to 4 weeks' notice, then we can do that. It's not like something's got to happen the next day when the material gets here.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Thank you. Any additional questions for our electric utility director, Tim Moore?
I just have one.
Yes, sir.
I have noticed on Williams and Franklin,
Okay.
it seems to be some utility poles that just don't look like others.
Is that, you talking about that big device on the side of it?
Yes.
Yeah, that was, you talking about the big metal device that you see on some of the
Yes.
poles? Yes, those poles are actually owned by Verizon. What they did, they hired a company called Osmos to come in and do pole inspection. Well, what they do is if they find a pole that is starting to rot basically at the base of it, they install one of those devices. It's kind of like shores the pole up. And that extends the life of the pole 10, 15 years by doing that.
Well, it could be a couple that they've missed. Because a couple of them really don't look that stable.
No, they don't. I know what you're talking about. When Mr. Fleetwood was here, he actually talked to me about it, and I reached out to Verizon. But that's what they use to basically temporarily shore up the poles. That's the device. Aesthetically, it doesn't look very pleasing.
Any additional questions for our electric utility director? All right, up next is our chief of police, Arnold Down.
Good evening, everyone. I'll be deviating from my conventional written report and take this time to go ahead and thank everyone, the wonderful community for acts of kindness, town staff for all their work with crowd control, checking on us, and really everyone during the funeral, before the funeral, and even presently. It's been a definite difficult time for us in the last 3 weeks, and we're working through that. But with a great community like we do have, and the support we have here, it makes it a lot easier to go through this process that we're going through. We definitely want to go ahead and thank Ocean Pines for coming in here with their staff, their dispatchers, everyone, and saying, don't worry about anything. And for us to be able to do whatever we needed to do and not worry about anything. So really, to Chief Ayersman and his staff, we really say thank you. Myself personally, I want to go ahead and thank everyone for their prayers, all of their acts of kindness, the cards and flowers during this whole process when I was sick, and giving me the strength to go ahead and move through. So again, it's nothing but appreciation from our staff to everyone who's actually assisted us thus far and continue to assist us through this process. And we say thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the chief of police? All right. Up next, town attorney David Gaskell. You got anything to report?
Do not.
It's a good day. Up next is our finance director, Natalie Sledge.
Good evening. We're working on the fiscal 2022 year-end, so basically running all the necessary reports and going through the closing procedures. Working on the summary for the capital projects for fiscal 23 and the ARPA funds being allocated so it would be posted online on the web. We're looking and reviewing the actual expenditures and revenues comparatively to the fiscal 22. That would be in preparation of the fourth quarter financial snapshot upcoming, I believe it's August the 8th. We have preliminary audit scheduled with BKS and Company for first week of September. Next Mayor and Council meeting, we will bring back to your attention the water and sewer capital fee and also the stormwater rates for reviews and recommendations and potentially approval. We've performed the disconnects last week with the utility crews, reviewed the monthly billing and all the check processing went out today. We have distributed $8,500 from energy assistance funds, so that's a total of 100%, half and half town match and the residents of the town that contributed the monies. We've deviated a little bit in the process this year and allocated those funds according to the shore up recommendations. So normally we would do it at the end of the calendar year, but with the utilities and the temperatures and the bills outstanding, we decided to go ahead and do it during the summertime. I felt like it was more, and the ladies downstairs at the customer service and the billing, that it was more appropriate to do it off-season than at the holiday season. We have e-billing going on and over 100 customers have signed up so far, so that's going well as a process. And the press release went out today in regards to the customer service hours been changed from 8 to 5. That's all I have.
8 to 4.
8 to 4.
I'm sorry, 8 to 4. 8 to 5 on disconnect days, 8 to 4.
Thank you. Any questions for our finance director?
And just to clarify, the change in office hours doesn't occur until July 5th, when we come back with the July 4th holiday.
Thank you. And up next is our Water Resources Director, Jamie Latcham.
Good evening again. We've collected monitoring well samples out to the spray site, which are quarterly. Replaced the digester mixer due to it failed, and also the cord that powers it, hauled sludge to the landfill. As Natalie mentioned, we did water shutoffs. We had to install a new water service for a house on Branch Street due to it was a new house. Peak shaving, provided toilets to the bathtub raise, and pulled a pump at Decatur Street Extension Lift Station.
Thank you. Any questions for our Water Resources Director, Jamie Latcham? All right, up next is our radio personality, Jimmy Charles.
He was in Ocean City the other day too.
I heard him.
It's a
Sounded very
pretty good
different.
song about Maryland.
No free tickets.
Come on,
It's all that. Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
Where's the t-shirt? Jesus.
So, I'll start here with, last Tuesday, again, like the chief said, we were all honored to help with the funeral procession. We had 9 units and 18 crewmen between the 3 departments out there assisting with that. We hired a summer help young gentleman. He was here last week, and very pleasant young man. He's putting on a backpack and is blowing the streets off and doing a good job. He actually comes back and says, "What's next?" So, very fortunate to have a summer help with that. Beautification Committee has identified 2 more areas that we're going to start addressing. The anchor down at Decatur Park, we're looking at getting some new plants and flowers and address that area. And then over at the post office, the 2 front triangles out there, we're going to address them, get them completed. And then there's some other projects that we're looking at, trying to complete the projects and move on to some new ones. And then some of the other stuff, I think, is from the last meeting, is Cody's been working hard with Cody has been working hard with doing the playground equipment and stuff, and worked with that vendor, and he's got touch-up paint and stuff from them. We got some prices to replace some of the stuff, especially at Decatur Park, with getting the equipment back up to date. And that is all I have.
Thank you. Any questions for our Public Works Director, Jimmy Charles?
I have one. Ditch bank on like 7th Street at the end where, well, it actually runs into the the medical complex. I've had a concern from a property owner about that not being cut, that not being maintained.
We will, I will stop out and take a look at it. I'll get with you afterwards and maybe we'll talk exactly where it's at.
Okay. And there's another ditch bank that is of concern on Shaw Street. Well, it actually runs parallel to Shaw Street in back of Grace Purnell's home.
Would that be on the east side or the west side?
That would be on the
Park side or the park side?
park side.
Okay.
And just one more thing concerning the park. The metal fence has been damaged. It looks like it's just damaged. And I'd like for you to take a look at that and check that.
We actually were looking at it today. There's a couple sections. The section that's bordered the Willows project, there was some damage from there that we need to contact them.
It's down further.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then, because their fence was actually on, I think it was on our side, that was covered within their fence. So, we need to contact them and address that. I just noticed that today. And, there's some other sections. And that fence is really starting to show its age. The metal's starting to become flimsy. So there is some areas that we were addressing with that fence.
While I went up, from where I was sitting, it looked like a stable fence except for this damage.
Yeah, there's a couple spots down right there at Frank Hudson and the highway that needs to be bent a little back into place. We were down there, Bob and I were down there today, working on that fence, so.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you. Any additional questions for our Public Works Director? All right. Up next is our Human Resources Director, Chelsea Jensen.
Good evening. I was on vacation last week, so just kind of playing catch up a little bit. Thank you to Mary for making that catch up a little bit easier, stepping in there and helping. I told her, here's some help, some workers' comp information. You probably won't have to use it. You know, it's very rare. Well, she had 2 workers' comp injuries while I was out, so I am sorry and thank you. But so I'm catching up on that. On the 14th, I attended the MML Expo Day as well as the clerk's quarterly meeting. I'm working to input the 5% increase for salaries and the health changes. So I kind of made it about halfway through the health changes today, and that was about it. So I'll be working on that this week. So don't mind me if my door's shut. I'm not being rude. Just gonna get it done. And then I wanted to fill you guys in on a couple vacancies. We were able to fill the water superintendent position, distribution and collection technician, lineman 3rd class, a wastewater plant operator, a public works seasonal employee, and then there is an offer out to a police officer that would be entering the academy. So hopefully all these positions, you know, they like it and they work out, and hopefully we get some good hires from that. And then we still have a couple vacancies, which I'm waiting on Jamie and Megan to just take a look at those job descriptions and work through those to make sure we can get those posted for them. And that is a spray site operator, an assistant superintendent for water, and then a stormwater general laborer. So those positions will be coming available soon if you know anybody. They're all 3 in the water department, so that's all I have for you this evening.
Thank you. Any questions for our Human Resources Director?
Kelsey, you all are rocking it out. Look at that.
It's been a lot.
Girl.
But when we got some filled, it feels good.
It's phenomenal.
All right. Up next is comments from the council. We'll start with Vice President Burrow.
I know this. I know this has probably come up in my absence, but the intersection of northbound 113 and Bay Street. When did they do something with that? Because it's an accident waiting to happen. The way it's lined is terrible.
Well, the line is not complete.
Thank God.
I was told that today, but I was also told the piping that the state approved is now not approved, so the piping that they need to order is out 6 to 8 weeks. So they were storing some equipment at Heron Pond or Heron Park. So I was talking to the gentleman today, and he was telling me about that. So they don't know when they're going to be back there to complete everything for the stormwater pond and all that. So what you see right now is what's going to stay there probably anywhere 6 to 8 weeks. So I had to move all their equipment over to Rain's property for the July 3rd fireworks, as we talked about in the last department head meeting. So since they were all there today and they don't know when they're coming back, I asked them if they could move it today, so in preparation for the fireworks.
To get it away from the area where people will.
I didn't want to use it as a jungle gym.
Yeah.
But stopping at that light, trying to cross 113, you don't know what lane to get in or where to be.
Your neighbor don't know what.
And I sat there the other day behind Lieutenant Fisher, and there was a car over here, he was here, and they both went at the same time. And I mean, as the road's marking, the left-hand lane is your left-hand turn and the straight across. Where the car was the right-hand turn that head north.
Yeah.
Can we touch base with them and just, if it's gonna be a 6 to 8 week lead time, can we get that striped a little bit better?
I'll see.
So folks know where to go.
Jimmy and I will try to get in touch with, he has Jay Meredith's email, so we'll try to email him and say, you know, and maybe the chief can chime in and send us an email so we can group it together and send it to them also. Because I mean, they've seen it, I mean, it's.
Yeah. And they've been advised.
What's that?
They've been advised.
Yeah, but let's
But we need
follow
to-
up so that we can make sure we can hopefully get some.
The statement was that it was going to be corrected, and the assumption was it was going to be corrected a lot sooner than 6 to 8.
Now, the piping is totally different than the rest, but I don't, you know, they've got the road marked how it's supposed to be done, but
Do they expect to have to tear up some of that paving to do piping work?
no, it's all over of the property the town, you know, gave to the state owned and the town gave a little piece of.
But it looks like, so the turn lane is double, right? The right turn is double. So not just the lining, but the signage as well. You know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, Joe Blow and even a citizen driver is not paying attention and they're just thinking, ooh, I'm parallel to the straight ahead and they're cutting me off and I'm looking at them like,
Let me turn away and
turn, yes.
I was
Let's turn the other way, just
I was
because.
going to say this in my comments, so I don't mean to piggyback, but I really kind of feel that it's a little unacceptable that State Highway left it that way. You know, there should be some sort of signage, and I'm not asking for a Las Vegas light show, just something that says what lanes go where. And
Especially if
so,
they did this for accident traffic, because this is a hot mess.
I mean, I understand the thinking behind it, but the dots on the line, the dots on the road are lovely, but it's, no. There needs to be some sort of signage. I was informed that this was temporary, now it's extended, so I really, really feel strongly and believe that we should get some signs.
And as the chief said, this is not new information to them.
No,
Let's
it's-
just make sure we get it in an email, pass it along to Jay Meredith, and then from there, if we're still.
Time to get it straight.
Let's just be a squeaky wheel. Let's just keep
That's the
squeaking,
only thing.
squeaking.
It's already
squeaking.
been 3 weeks
We have
since
no
I was
leverage
there.
at this stage.
So we'll make sure that email gets sent over, but thank you. Anything additional, Councilmember?
That's all I have.
All right, Councilmember Orris, do you want to start since
Yeah,
it
yeah, I
leads
have a
into your
list.
other portion?
Yeah, we're going to go here. All right, so.
Actually, hold on, Councilmember Nichols, you want to?
Yeah, no, let him go. Let him go through his list.
It's, yeah, we had a canceled meeting, I gotta catch up.
All right, go ahead.
All right, so a couple things. I do want to say thank you to the staff for including the staff cover letter request, the memos. I think that's awesome, thank you so much. I attended, along with Councilmember Nichols and the mayor, MML and Eastern Shore Association of Municipalities earlier this month, and true to fashion, you go to a dinner, you end up on a committee. So that happened to me. So I'm on a committee there, and I want to thank the the town residents for the opportunity to go. I think since we are coming up on July 1, which is obviously a new fiscal year, I think that I'd just like to share real quick some thoughts that I have. Later in the summer, I don't know when this group meets, but I would like to suggest that we send a letter to the casino group, is what I'm referring to them as. Kind of get their thoughts, and if it's kind of like a pre-authorization for use, potential use in the future for LEOPS. I know we have in the budget the study, but I think that if we can kind of touch base with that group and see if they're going, because I understand we need approval from them. So if we can kind of see how they're feeling, and then if we need to adjust course, we can. State Highway, well, we talked about the 113 and Bay Street, but I also, ultimately here, just to put a ribbon on it, is I really would like to have a Shaw representative come to one of our meetings, because I have questions and I'd like to talk to them.
You're saying a
Shaw representative from
State Highway.
State Highway, I'm sorry, State Highway. I have questions, about the signage, about the crosswalks, the brickness of the sidewalks, or the crosswalks that we have. I just have questions, and kind of leads into my my final point here is when we have gaps, when we have cancellations of meetings, I mean, there's obviously things that happen, but I'd like to renew the request, and I think I can speak for my colleagues from Mayor Zach, to have a mayor report to the council. It doesn't have to be like the Magna Carta. I'm all about the metaphors today. But just the bullet points of happenings in town. Because I do have to be honest, people have approached me, residents are concerned about the crosswalks, that's why I mentioned it. But I wasn't really aware until they came to me, and then I saw some chatter on Facebook where there was information available that just hadn't gotten to us yet. So I would renew that request for a mayoral report.
So is that the only item that you believe is missing? Because what we've shifted with the mayor's report is you're getting it more timely. So they're coming in emails as they happen. So you're getting the same level of information, unless I've overlooked something.
No, I'm not, it's not that I don't want to come across as we're not getting information. We are getting the information, that's great. But I think that there are some things that could be just jotted down together in an email. It's not an attack.
No, you're fine. I'm just trying to understand, because we started, it was a learning process, because there was never that before. Then we started to report, and then now it was needed more timely, so that's what's being provided in an email.
Yes, and we got to the point where we were getting the mayor's reports, and then they just stopped. So we asked for them to just continue, and it just hasn't seemed to be happening yet.
So you're getting the same information, just more timely as it happens. I send the email to the group regarding the sidewalks.
Crosswalks.
Crosswalks. The question is in reference to the brick.
Yeah, I mean, any information that you...
A lot of people have asked about
that's
the brick going away, they prefer the brick, but I don't know where the state is.
I could comment on that.
Well, hold on, let me take a stab at this first, if you don't mind. So I was actually at Corporal Hilliard's funeral when the first message came about these sidewalks, or crosswalks, and I didn't get the message until late, but then I did follow up with Jay Meredith from SHA, who's in my working relationship been great to work with. And I said, because we had a conversation about sidewalks and improving the fact that we have the pads, but no sidewalks downtown, or crosswalks downtown in certain spots. So we had talked about adding those additional sidewalks, or crosswalks, I keep saying sidewalks. And then I got the picture of here where we have 4 crosswalks in one part, and one's not thermoplast. So I reached out to Jay and I said, hey, let's talk about this and help me understand what we need to do to get a thermoplast sidewalk there, or a crosswalk there. And Jay's response to me was that they're no longer supported by the state. So they're not deemed to be safe, and this crosswalk that we have is deemed to be safe. So that is what you will be seeing on state roads throughout town. And where we have many of those state roads that encompass those thermoplast crosswalks, they will be transitioning.
So we have, I believe, if I counted right, we have like 12 of those left.
Okay.
So my question is, and perhaps you know, I don't really understand why it's not safe. Do you?
Well, there is a portion, what's that?
What is it?
My mind, I see.
It is a safety standard by the state, and I have that, and if you had asked the question, I would have gladly sent that over to you. But I'll pass that information along, so you do have that safety standard. It includes the drawing for what they would look like and all of those things.
I do have an email from Jay Meredith, because I asked him that question. He said to me, we do have another contract coming out, updating the other crosswalks, so the ones by Pitt Street and such. The brick crosswalks will be updated with the new style. I guess that's the Abbey Road look.
What do you mean the Abbey Road look?
Well,
From the
Oh,
Beatles.
The Beatles.
How about the metaphors?
Predates me.
That's in your metaphor.
But the
But that's the new
crosswalk
style.
that you see is the state-supported crosswalk.
So that's what they're transitioning to an all-state road.
And you'll be seeing more of those as well, as I mentioned, because we do have the paths, but no crosswalks there. So those will be added as well to help aid in the pedestrian traffic downtown. So, if there's ever something you see that's missing, if you ask the question, if I don't have the answer, I'll try and get it for you.
And just to add into that, every town in the state of Maryland will have the same pattern.
The new style.
It's not just,
Yeah,
it's not just us.
it's the new standard.
It's a new standard, and see, they're also glass. So when you come up there, though, actually, these might not be reflected because they might not be completed yet.
Right.
But the new ones will actually be, like, you know how you drive down the road and the lines are bright? These crosswalks will be the same. They'll have reflective glass in them, so as you come up to them, they'll shine.
So as they do the paving of roads, they'll just phase out.
And they'll be updating. Yeah, they're gonna be updating.
Well, that's what I mean, like, they're not gonna just come target crosswalks.
And we had looked into this, Jimmy and I and Jamie, with Jeff Fleetwood, with State Highway, 6 months ago? Because we knew on their schedule, the paving was coming up. And Ivy was looking at grant money for the Main Street beautification and all. So at the time, some of the employees with State Highway that we're tight with, that we talk to all the time, said they might be able to fit some of that funding in. And then they came back to us later and said, no, the new standard is what we're getting now. The brick will be disappearing, like Jimmy just said, everywhere eventually. And I know it's quaint, it's rustic, all that, but it's not very durable, and it's awfully expensive for that thermoplastic. So I don't really, if it's safer, I'm glad, because we've been pricing this for a number of years, going back at least 7 or 8 years, right? And we could never fit it in a budget anymore. And it's, if you look down on, next to the hotel and all, you could go and snap pieces off, and, if you wanted to.
And at the time, we were going to write a grant to be able to redo it, and then was told by, I think it was Mike Marble or someone that said, no, you don't need to write a grant because we're going to go ahead and replace it for you.
Right.
And I'm not sure what happened between then and now. I wasn't in that conversation.
What we see is what we're gonna be getting.
Right.
So, it meets the safety standards for the state. So, the other point I believe you made was LEOPS with sending a letter. I think that based off the way that's structured, the best thing for us to do is reevaluate the spending of that. We did make a recommendation prior to, stand up that recommendation, but we need to have the findings of the LEOPS study, which we're hopefully going to be moving forward with at the very start of this fiscal year, which is right around the corner. And then it's going to be, well, I think we need to, that board will take our recommendation as a recommendation, so we don't have to ask for permission beforehand. And if there's any additional questions, we can always answer those as they come. All right, anything else, Councilmember Forbes?
No, thank you.
Councilmember Nichols?
Thank you guys for your report. Dave, I just want to clear this up. I wasn't trying to be rude or mean or any of those things, and I don't want it to be taken that way to you or to the homeowners or those folks out there in short-term rental world. That's my opinion, and that's the opinion of those folks in the community that reach out to me regularly in regards to that. So I hope there's nothing other than me spewing and giving you what I'm giving. Secondly, so I have to tell you about these few near-fatal incidences that I've had lately. And I tell you this because my day job is an educator, and one of my duties as an educator is to walk my students off the premises who live local. So roughly right now I have like 30, well not today because we're on summer academy, 35 students who walk to and from Berlin Intermediate, be they by foot, skateboard, or bicycle. Some of them wrestle their way homes or whatever else. So Miss Nichols stands in the middle of William Street with a stop sign and a little yellow vest stopping traffic. 4 times in the month of June, and we got out of school on the 17th, I was this close to being hit by a car. One time I had to literally jump out of the flipping lane because the guy wasn't even paying attention, and he moved, I moved to the other lane, and he just kept riding. And yes, I did get profane because, oh my God, had my children been out there, one of them would have been smashed by a truck. I say these things to you, please. I don't know, Chief, if it's you, or if it's the county, or if it's somebody. Little old me standing in the middle of the street, all 5 foot tall and blankety blank pounds. These folks do not care. And it's, I mean, I'm standing in the middle of the street. My cohort is standing on Franklin or Graham Avenue stopping the school traffic. But people, I mean, and I will say this part, I have even been cursed from cars, from folks who work downtown. I won't say who they are, but I knew them by name and was like, seriously, when your children were students here, you would have stopped or you would have slowed down. It's not fair to those kids. I've retired. I told them I'm not doing this anymore because I've done it for too many years. But the people who follow me from next year on, I worry for their safety because folks right there on William Street don't give a flying fart about that me standing in the middle of the street with a stop sign, just like one day a grandma left her front yard and stood outside and was like, stop the cars! And they were looking at her like she was crazy because she saw these anyway, this is not an exaggeration. Please, please, please.
And the statement is to the Board of Education, we already let them know. Buses, cars, and children should never move at the same time.
Well, we don't.
They move at the same time. What we have is people running from one school to another school. What's the first school that gets in, and what's the first one get out? One parent is up there going to 3 different schools. We know that. That's why students who are walking have to go ahead and wait till everybody else is gone. And now you're only fighting against what? The people coming down and not the buses where you can't be seen and everybody that are coming who are actually there at the school. Because again, we're talking about a 12-minute process where everything's crazy. Storing people on property, engineers, state highways already looked at it, they know the answer. The buses should be in the front, they should be in the loop, because that's what it is, it's the bus loop. They have to go ahead and open it up wider for all the buses to fit. And hopefully people will start riding the buses just a little bit more. But kids have walked up and down the streets forever, but now they are contending with a whole lot more traffic. So that's the major sheriff office, 2 schools that they are contending with and they feel they need to have traffic control. The other 2, they feel it's not necessary currently.
Well, I'll say this. I want to clear this up for you guys real quick. That cluster that goes on right on Franklin Avenue, right up front, that's not where I live. Me and my children, we have to wait until all the buses are gone, until all the parents are gone, and literally we are waiting. Everybody else is going home, but we're still there on school property, walking these children off on Graham. So we cross, we come down, is it Graham? It is. We come down Graham.
So really, you could be on Franklin.
And stop, well, we're not on Franklin. We're on, where I exit the children from, I'm sorry. We come out on Graham Avenue.
Right.
I stand in the middle of William Street.
Correct. And then
right there by Graham. And that's Berlin traffic, or traffic. That's not schools at that time, because everybody's gone from the front and the buses are gone. So these folks are regular, everyday Joes. And some of them, I see them coming from work, and it infuriates me that they don't pay attention.
And they're still going to Buckingham. But we'll look at it and we'll talk to them about Franklin. Franklin's a little bit different and doesn't sit behind houses and a little bit, because again, if you talk about accidents, Graham is a little worse than Franklin. So we'll go ahead and make sure that we talk to somebody at the board and not,
Please, yes, I don't care who you talk to, my worry is those children on those bikes. Had it not been me in the middle of the street, one of my children would have been smashed by a car, and that's, yeah. But other than that, the only thing I did want to say, the chief said it, everyone here has reiterated it 12 times over. You see it all over social media and everywhere else. The community outpouring for Glenn and his family, for the Hilliards, has been phenomenal. The stance that we as the town of Berlin took, I thank you, Mayor, and whomever made that or thought to make that request to close government offices so that everyone that was a part could play a part. Just watching as the procession came to town, it's gonna make me cry now thinking about it, but just watching that and the respect and honor that this community gave to Glenn and then to Tashika and the children, and will continue to do, thank you. Because to me, that is what community is. He was one of our own, his children, his family are. The way in which you treat others reflects 12-fold on who we are as a people. That is kindness that is at the utmost. Thank you all for the respect you gave to that family. It was tremendous.
Thank you. Councilmember Nur?
I'm not going to follow that. No, I just want to mention one thing. I received several calls and emails regarding Verizon cell phone signal. People are saying their calls are being dropped downtown, that the signal's weak. Does anybody know what's going on?
Those light poles, those crazy poles.
I don't have the answer as to what's going on,
Yeah.
but I'm trying to get to the bottom of it. It started with, a few weeks ago, I sent all of you an email. And since that point, it started at the local level. Now I'm at the government relations level at the state of Maryland. So we're working through that. They've been very responsive in that respect. I don't think it's isolated just to Verizon. I think that is being
I don't think it's
carried
also
across.
just to Berlin either.
I think it's been carried across a couple other providers as well, but I do notice it more with Verizon.
Definitely a problem.
And to Mary's point, it's like right around Berlin, but not just isolated to the town. So I think it's a geospatial issue. But I am working with them. So I don't know what the outcome is,
Right. But you're on it.
we're, well, on it loosely. I'm starting I'm carrying forward the conversation, so I'll keep you all up to date.
Definitely an issue and it needs to be addressed.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Anything else? Okay. So up next is agenda item number 9. I do want to thank everybody that participated and represented the town for the MML booth. Thank you very much. I think Economic Development ran point on that with some assistance from admin. Additionally, I want to echo everybody's thank yous and thank you for the support from our community in reference to Corporal Hilliard. Like Councilmember Nichols and everybody else has said, he was one of ours. But I do want to say that when it came to the traffic, securing the intersections and things of that nature, Ocean City Emergency Management was helping run point on that. They reached out during a holiday weekend. I reached out immediately to some of our department heads who I thought would be able to help out. And I was expecting a little bit of support, but I must say that no, Siri wasn't recommending. So, but no, I want to say that our Public Works, Water Resources, and Electric departments, I was expecting 1 or 2 vehicles, and you guys pulled forward. We have nine vehicles, 18 people, not counting the police department that was well represented, and our other staff members that were there. So it goes a long way. Ivy, your department, I reached out to the Chamber of Commerce and asked for their assistance with the sign that they managed to help pay some respects as the procession came through. And then posthumously, Glenn Hilliard was promoted from deputy first class to corporal. So we did a last minute change on that, and Allison was very helpful. So it was true community coming together. So thank you, it means a lot. Everybody watching and here, I hope everybody has a happy 4th of July. Hopefully we get to shoot some fireworks off and enjoy the holiday weekend. So that
legal
concludes.
fireworks.
What's that?
Legal fireworks.
Legal, yes, thank you, Chief. Very good call, legal fireworks. Remember that there are people in our community that don't take too well to that sound all the time for whatever reason, so please be respectful.
And pets.
Yes, and the police department really does not need the additional call volume. Up next is agenda item number 10, any comments from the public? Anybody in attendance? Okay, number 11 is comments from the press. Any?
Move to adjourn.
Councilmember Burrell, it's so nice to have you back. A motion to adjourn by Councilmember Burrell, I need a second.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you.
We need to record that.
Yes. Needs to be a what?
You're not here.
They try to do your voice.
You're not here.
Well, they get all confused and they shut down.
They don't pay that man money. I'm just gonna go ahead and say, I quit, I'm done.
Okay.